Ladies and gentlemen, the Jennifer Batten experience. There's nothing quite like it. Welcome back to MI, Jennifer.
Thank you. It's good to be back at the old alma mater.
You got everything in there, right? You got the microphone and everything. I just want to take a couple minutes to introduce Jennifer to the GuitarTV land out there on the internet, on the Google, as it were. We're talking to the planet, really. We got all of the guitar community, hopefully, out there now. Keep in mind, Jennifer, in 1993, played in front of, I think it was 3 billion people on the Super Bowl halftime show.
1 quadrillion.
It could have been a trillion. No, trillion might be an exaggeration. Billion, not. She also, she got a call here. I think you had graduated here and you were teaching here, and you got a call from MJ looking for a guitar player at the peak of his career.
Yeah, man. It was the whole reason I came to Hollywood. It was pretty amazing to even get that call, and to go down there and audition. I didn't tell anybody that I had auditioned for Michael Jackson because I thought I didn't want to jinx it, and it was actually weeks and weeks after I was rehearsing. I just want to make sure everything was chill before I announced it to people. So.
And what was I know you had quite a get-up in Michael Jackson days. I think, what took
hair.
longer, to set up your guitar rig or your hair every day?
The hair, that took way longer. That was 2.5 hours. It was ridiculous, man. I mean, the first place we played was in Japan, and they generally start the shows early there so that everybody can get on the trains back home. And so they actually started me at 7 o'clock in the morning because there were so many people to do makeup and hair to with the dancers and singers and everything, and my hair was the most ridiculous, so they started mine first. And I would just go back to bed, wake up 2 hours later, and look the same.
Oh, that's nice. So now you were here when this was purely a guitar school. It might have been across the street, one of the earlier classes, when the GIT, and you helped launch this place. We really appreciate that. You were, I think, the only woman in the program. What was that like back then, to be the only female guitar player, and what advice do you have for females wanting to forge ahead in a male-dominated field such as that?
Well, what it was like was I got to rehearse in the bathroom because I was the only one there, and I got great reverb. Now you can get that in your iPhone.
Yeah, that's great. We're launching an MI bathroom plug-in reverb for you. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it was great. It was 60 guys and me and Joe Diorio, Ron Eshte, Don Mock. It was the most amazing life transformation ever.
Fantastic. And then, of course, you went on to also play with another huge hero in the world of music, Jeff Beck, one of the most influential guitar players ever since the 60s on to the present. He's still winning Grammys and doing stuff. What was that like? What did you take away from that?
It was amazing. I just wanted an autograph, that's all. And I ended up in the band. I gave him a copy of my first CD when I met him, thinking he probably wouldn't even listen to it. I know I get inundated with CDs, and I still have about 100 I haven't listened to. But he gave me a call about 3 or 4 months later and said, I finally had a chance to listen to your CD and come join the band, let's do a CD together. So, of course, I just peed my pants, like you would.
The Michael Jackson experience didn't give you any help in that department before?
Well, yeah.
So how do those two huge talents, how do they inform your show now? How have they influenced you? You have quite an amazing show. What inspired this one-woman, self-contained extravaganza?
Yeah, luckily the thought came to me one day to do a film show, because I really wanted to get out with my music, and I had gone out with Michael for 10 years, and Jeff Beck was 3 that almost immediately followed that. And I thought, well, what's next? I've been so spoiled with first-class everything. And I wanted to keep it low maintenance and make it easy. Wouldn't have to worry about paying band members and everything that goes with a band, the whining and complaining and whinging. So I got the idea to do the film thing, and I put out the word to filmmakers for about 1.5 years that I wanted to do this thing, and I had about 50 people take MP3s to work with. And after all that time, I still only had 4 films. So the guy that did the next film I'll play taught me how to do it, and I became completely obsessed with filmmaking. Just sit there for 14 hours a day with my laptop, and that's been almost 4 years now.
Awesome. She took matters into her own hands. Fantastic. Real quickly, for the guitar players out there, you're a one-woman touring show. What does your rig consist of here? Take us on a quick tour of your line your signal path.
My rig gets simpler and simpler every time I go out because I'm lazy and I don't like to carry stuff. For a long time now, I've been using the Digitech GNX series floor processor. And when you hear those bends and you don't see my hands bend, I set the expression pedal to be a whammy pedal to bend down a whole step with my foot. And I always carry a volume pedal, and that's it for the floor. All the sounds are in there. And I really don't like the speaker emulator that comes out of here, so I'm going into Palmer speaker emulators and then straight into the house. Easy. If I'm playing with a band, I would probably go into a power amp, so I have a little more control with the pushing air around me.
But you know you always have the fat sound here at MI.
Being
right?
fat.
Real quickly, what are the goggles for up here?
Helps me focus.
Focus, right
Yeah.
on.
It's all about the steampunk thing now. Everything's turning
Steampunk in the
steampunk
house.
for me. I used to go shopping at Macy's, and now I go to Ace Hardware.
There you go.
Got the plumbing right here if you got a leaky toilet.
Exactly. Or like if the chain breaks on your Harley, it looks like you're covered as well.
I got it all.
Well, I'm
One
Jude
stop
Gold
shop.
for the guitar program here at MI. Let's make some noise for the rest of the planet. All y'all, once more for Jennifer Batten.
Thank you. Muchas gracias. And let's hear it again for Seis Cuerdas. Fantastic. Fantastico. Here's a little thing called Whatever.
Okay, like, you know, this one, you know, 4/4, okay, so, like, you know, whatever, yeah,
Crazy, yeah? You know what I'm saying? Whatever. Yeah, like, you know,
Whoa.
Whatever. Actually, that word is the reason I left LA after 20 years. Probably most of the people here are not from LA, so I can talk crap about it, right? When I started having my friends use the word whatever 5 times a sentence, I knew I had to move north. So I moved to Portland, Oregon. A lot more oxygen in the air, if you know what I'm saying. Since you're all guitar players, I'll tell you about the sounds that I'm using with these. I'll do like a mini clinic / concert kind of thing. With the GNX, I use the whammy pedal in the solo section. So the expression pedal, you can make it do anything you want. And this time I had it go up an octave with my foot. Kind of Looney Tunes. Not something you want to use in every song, certainly. And then I add an octave below the regular tone for a nasty sound in the beginning. And like that shizzle. The next one I'm going to get into is called Ricochet off the new record. And it's a wacky-ass love song featuring Betty Boop and Charlie Chaplin.
Ricochet.
that's one of my favorite sounds called swell. It's got a little bit of the kitchen sink in it, a clean amp model, as well as some stereo ping pong delay, jumping back between the speakers, and some harmonizer, a little bit of the kitchen sink. Now I'm going to take you to Egypt with a thing called Cruising the Nile. That's all. Get rid of this pick, not necessary. Thank you. Now that I'm in MI, I will tell you that I got into the tapping thing because of a fellow student. It wasn't anything that was in the curriculum back in 1979. Steve Lynch was one of the graduates that was in my class, and he has since written a book called The Right Touch. And I just fell in love with what he was doing. And as you know, during the school year, there's so much for you to keep up with. Doing extracurricular stuff is kind of tough to fit in, so I waited till school was over. Then I tracked him down and took some lessons from him, and then just started experimenting to see what I could do with the two hands. And also at that time, the funk bass thing was really huge. For some bass players, almost sound like they were doing drum solos. So I just started taking the two hands and see what I could come up with, and that's it. I've been able to play with some amazing people in my life, and one of them was Les Paul when he was 93 years old. They did a tribute to him at the Rock Hall of Fame in Cleveland in November '08, and they asked me to play one of his first ever multi-track recordings, which was a song called Lover. And at that time, I think when he hit the airwaves on radio, I think he affected the people the way Van Halen did, where there was some new, fresh stuff going on. And if you haven't checked out Les Paul, I order you to, because there's some great stuff out there. He not only invented the electric guitar, but multi-track recording and a lot of the effects that you use today. And he did some trickery on this song as well.
goes out.
Thank you. Aha, examples of records and everything. Look at that. What album was that from? Well, not mine. Okay. My friend's trying to help me out. Yeah, so what he did, if you're not aware, he would do a lot of solos and then double speed the tape. So it sounded like Mickey Mouse tape, and people were going, what the hell? And I think that's where Al Di Meola got his whole thing was from thinking that speed was normal. So I was able to do some of the speed by doing two-handed stuff. And I threw Flight of the Bumblebee in there just because it was much easier than what Les actually did. Here's a tune you might recognize. So if you feel like singing along, please don't, because that's really irritating. only ever step on the wrong pedal live. Never happens at rehearsals, ever. How about some blues for y'all? I found some footage. I put a film together, some footage of an old show at the Apollo back in the 50s with a very young Count Basie and Cab Calloway. And there's a tap dancer in here named Bill Bailey that was doing the moonwalk decades and decades before Michael Jackson. I'm going to get into one of my newer films. I go to Japan every year, and I've been going since, 1987. Michael Jackson was the first one to take me over there. And now I go over every spring at least to work at several different schools that are over there. There's a series of schools in 7 different cities, music schools anyway. And everybody knows they've been going through a really rough time with the nuclear accident, and earthquake, and tsunami, and Jesus, how many more disasters could you have? So I just want to say that even though it's been, a couple months now, I just came back about less than a month ago, they still need some help. So even if you can afford $5 or $10, it's goes towards helping them. Anyway, this is a record. Yeah, I will take the album cover and do the commercial now that they've been given to me. Here's one off my Momentum record called The Swarm. And all the footage I got on this was very wacky old Japanese footage. Godzilla. All right. Anybody like fast cars out there? Yeah. I hear all the testosterone talking. This one's called You Ain't Nothing Like a Fast Car. Kind of like ZZ Top on crack. As you can see, most of my tunes are written on caffeine. It's so sad I have a Starbucks VIP card. But this one was written on Chardonnay. This is one of my favorite videos that's on the whatever CD, pronounced whatever. It's a CD and a DVD with a lot of these films that you see. And one of the filmmakers I did get a hold of was a guy I met on MySpace named Charlie Case, who's been doing computer animation since it began back in the days when it used to take an entire day to render just a circle on the computer. So it's come a hell of a long way. Very trippy guy. I think he did some self-medicating in the 70s, if you know what I'm saying. He's in touch with some other kind of shizzle. And actually, I bought a motorhome to go on this tour, just throw a screen in it and a little Bose PA, and I'm on my way. And I did meet him on my first tour. Winston, Georgia. He's got 5 acres, beautiful property with this smoky crystal quartz coming out of the ground. And if you're into spirituality, I think he's zoned into each one of those pieces of quartz. This is called In the Aftermath, and you're about to go on the trip that he took me on. to finish with a song that goes even deeper than that. Took 2 bottles of Chardonnay. This one, yeah, took a while to write it, and it's probably my best work ever. It's called Inner Journey. So I hope you feel it. It's so heavy that I have to curl up my arm here.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Such a shame I farted my microphone right off my head. All right, I think it's Q&A time. What do you say? Anything you want to know about some hairspray tips or stuff that's really important? Or how I got those fart sounds? There's no ass was harmed in that video.
Anyone have any questions? Right over here. And we're also going to invite those out in the Guitar TV community. Maybe we get a couple of questions from Facebook. Starting with Joseph. How you doing?
Thank you, Jennifer.
Yes.
Just wondering, I watched one of your videos. You had some back pain on the Michael Jackson tour. How did you deal with that?
Back pain?
Yes.
I had enough money to deal with whatever back pain. No. God. Yeah, you know what? I did throw my back out several times. Partly because all of a sudden I'm on the road and I wasn't going to the gym. I would just get up and be a maniac for 2 hours a night and then be a prisoner of a hotel room for the rest of the time. So I went to a chiropractor, got cracked, and then just started working out to support the muscles more. And now I will say, I also had some problems with my hand. I had, for the first time in my life, I had a guitar on my back during rehearsals for a good 10 hours a day. And having a 10-piece, or a 10-pound something or other hanging on your body, it affected my hands. So I started going for lighter guitars and massage, and I still get massaged when I'm home once a week, just to keep that stuff loose. Because when you start getting, these are not elbows, what are they called? Shoulder. Yeah, it's my second language. Volley is my first. When these things start going up into your ears, it's going to affect all of your arm. So, yeah, take care of yourself.
I'd like to bring up Andy Alt. Give it for Andy from Guitar TV, helping us. He's your friend. We're going to start a show soon, actually, where MI students and staff can actually get on there, and of course, guest clinicians and concert givers. I think, Andy, you might want to be our link to the community. You have a question from the community at large, from the Facebook page?
Yeah, absolutely. Some people on Facebook right now that are chatting on Guitar TV are asking questions. The first one is if they could learn more about your guitar, and if you could tell them a little about what's going on behind the scenes here.
Sure. It's the lightest guitar I've ever owned. It's 8 pounds, which is kind of light for an electric. It's made out of swamp ash. It was my model Washburn called the JB100. There was 2 different models. One has the synthesizer pickup. When I got the gig with Jeff Beck, I found out I was the keyboard player, and I don't play keyboards. Therein lies a problem. So I got the synth pickup, and it was trial by fire getting into synth guitar. And that was at least half of what I did with Jeff was triggering pads. Let's see. Pamelina, are you in the audience? You badass. She's one of the greatest artists known to man. It's Pamelina.com, is it? Yeah, hook the sister up. Yeah, it's whenever I had money from the road, I'd throw it at her and say, here, paint something. And she has an incredible King Tut guitar that's in the Hard Rock in North Carolina, one of the Carolinas, in a pyramid-shaped Hard Rock cafe. It's just beautiful. And I had her, here we go. She painted the Tribal Rage record and the Big Hair record, which this original is about tall as me. It was insane, the amount of detail that went into that. So have a look after the show. And I have no idea what the question was. I can segue like a mother.
Pickups.
Oh, the guitar, yeah. Well, I went to South Africa with the last Michael Jackson tour, and the history tour, and I just smoked up a credit card getting African art. I had no idea when I'd be back or if I'd be back, and I haven't been back since '97. And I got a bunch of these Maasai kind of warrior paintings and asked her to put one on the guitar. It's got the regular Floyd Rose. It's got this string damper, which I will show you all what that's about. Without the damper, the before picture. It's about cleaning up the mess. Keeps the open strings clean. And I started using it for tapping many years ago. Actually, I started with a sock, but that smells kind of funny, so I Wanted to put an arm on there so I could lift it out of the way and get harmonics in a hurry. And funny enough, you can find these at Batten.com. But I digress. And what else is on here? Seymour Duncan pickups, JB Jr. in the bridge, duck buckers in the other two spots. This is just an Apple remote that I kind of steampunked. And so I don't have to lean over to the computer between songs. It's kind of my stealth song changer deal. This is a volume for the synth. This chooses whether it's synth or guitar being output or both at the same time. Standard volume and tone, 5-way pickup selector. And this is where I keep my extra hairspray. And like that, I started using these IntelliTouch tuners. They're really cool. You don't have to worry about, where's the cable for my tuner? Just keep it semi-stealth. I got to steampunk that one too. Yeah.
Looks great. How about some of the signatures on the guitar as well?
The signatures, my prized signature rubbed off. It must have been just hitting the case when I traveled, but I used to have Les Paul right across here. But I have pictures of it anyway. John McLaughlin and Jimmy Page were at the last gig that I did with Jeff Beck. It was a career retrospective at the Royal something or other. Everything's royal over there.
Oh.
And this is Vic Reeves, who's a comedian, British comedian that nobody would have heard of, but pretty much all of Jeff Beck's friends are all comedians.
Yeah.
It was a great hang. Steve Cropper, James Burton. I met James Burton, who's Elvis's guitar player, at the Rock Hall of Fame when I did the tribute for Les. And Uli John Roth, I met him last year in New Zealand. That is the signatures.
Awesome guitar. I think it sounds great, right?
This has gone through some battle scars, man. I'll tell you what, this had the headstock broken off twice. I took a trip when I was with Jeff. I mean, all that time with Michael, nothing happened to the guitars. And one of my first trips with Jeff, I was in Houston going to somewhere in South America. And they said, you can't take that on board. And I had taken the soft shell case with me on board for 10 years, no problems. Well, sometimes there's a problem, but nothing I can't deal with, you know what I mean? But this guy decided it wasn't going to happen. And sure enough, I got inside, and there was plenty of room, but it was just his trip. So he said he'd take full responsibility for it, and I get out the other side, and I get my guitar off, and the headstock is just going like that.
Oh.
I said, I want to see that guy that said he'd take full responsibility for it, and he wouldn't come off the plane because he knew he'd be missing teeth. You need a crowbar to get in here.
Last question. Someone wants to know what inspires you now, and is it the same thing that inspired you back then?
Oh, boy, I've never been asked that, I don't think. What inspires me now? There's way more than inspires me now. Back in the day, especially when I was at GIT, it was nothing but guitar, guitar, guitar. And in fact, I would go to shows and record just the guitar solos. I still have these cassettes. That's how far ago it was. I would take Van Halen solos back to back, so it was just nothing but Van Halen solos. I did that with Jocko, Pat Metheny, Robin Ford, and Jeff Beck, and just lived, eat, sleep, dream guitar. And now I can't stand guitar. So that's what happens. Actually, I'm listening to a lot of acoustic guitar now. It inspires me. But I find inspiration in all kinds of different things, and I've gone off in a bunch of different areas artistically. And when I moved to Portland, I took almost a year off of music and learned how to do stained glass and fused glass. So I get really inspired by a lot of visual stuff now, more than ever. And in the last winter, I took a lot of time off and started doing steampunk art, thus the goggles. I just became an OCD maniac, just working with copper and brass and making fantasy airships. And you can find that online.
Yeah. Well, GuitarTV has kind of a steampunk theme. I don't know if you checked it out. It's got
Awesome.
kind of rustic in a way, but
I love it.
cool. Well, unless there are any other questions, I could pass the microphone. How about to Jude?
Sure.
I see a question over here from our friend Sharon. Let's go.
Hi, Jennifer. I think you're amazing inspiration for aspiring female guitarists.
Thank you.
And I wanted to ask you, do you encounter any sexism? And if you do, how do you handle it?
Remember that? Sure, I've encountered all kinds of sexism, but nothing that has slowed me down or stopped me. You know, I mean, there's comments. The funniest one I remember is I used to play in San Diego, and there was a surfer in the audience that came up afterwards and said, "Whoa, you play just like a boy." It's like, what does that mean? You know? And I mean, I knew he meant it as a compliment, so is what it is, and it really doesn't matter. I mean, this is America. You can do what you want. You know, I've been really lucky. I have no complaints. Yes, I do. I can have all kinds of complaints, but we don't have time for that. It's just don't let anything get in your way, regardless of what you're after, whether you're a sculptor, creator of anything. There's no reason. You know, if you find a little road bump, I mean, some people will just quit right then, but my dear, life is full of them. So just plow.
Someday we'll be asking Sharon that too, because she tours with CeeLo now all over the
Right
place. She's one of our success stories. Any other questions out here? I'm gonna go right down here.
Hi, thanks. When you toured with Jeff Beck, were you able to get any like insight onto what he's thinking about when he's soloing? Like,
oh man, I mean, we were not guitar geeks. We never sat around sharing licks or anything like that. I'll just say he's one of those guys that's just connected to something else. Jeff he's been my guitar hero since I discovered the Blow by Blow record. I learned everything on that. I learned everything on Wired, and it's I would say more than anything, it's like he's a singer rather than a guitar player. He thinks in melodies. He'll never ever sit backstage and do scales. I don't think he knows scales. He knows lines and music. And one time, I got a couple of examples. One time somebody dropped off a pedal steel for him in the rehearsal hall. And I don't think he's ever played it before, but he walked up to it, and instead of being afraid of it, this is an instrument with a wacky tuning, he started instantly playing music. And here's the ultimate story. We had this thing, I mean, this last song was inspired by stupid things we would do on the road. You know, we used to have arm fart contests to see who could do it the longest without laughing. And after 3 months, I was the winner at 45 seconds. I'm pretty proud of that. Thank you. And accepting the Grammy for Miss Batten. It started out with whoopee cushions. And we just go through them, and we just use them every single night, and they would break. But one time, he picked up the whoopee cushion and started playing "'Cause We Ended as Lovers" on it. I'm serious, and it was good. Complete with vibrato. He just is music.
Any other questions for Jennifer Batten here? I see one back here. I'm going to run over here.
I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about using a synthesizer pickup and some of the challenges and uses that you have with that.
Yeah, it is a whole other world, big time. I started out with the Axon, which is the fastest triggering synth in the world. But I didn't like the internal sounds, so I wanted to use the engine from that and the internal sounds from a Roland, at that time, the 1080 keyboard module. And I had a nightmare, man. I mean, I'd be playing a C chord, and there'd be sharp 9 flat 5s coming out of that C, and I'm looking at my fingers going, what the hell? So there was some electronic, man, I'm having a hard time with the English language today, but there was some electronic not goodness happening. I think I farted my vocabulary out of my head is what happened. So eventually I switched over to all Roland, and that worked. It was slower at triggering, but it's like you have to learn each sound. You have to learn what the sound will do. For strings, you hit a chord and you got a string patch, it's gonna take a second before it kicks in. If you hit horns, it's gonna be there instantly, except slightly delayed because it's being converted, so you kind of have to jump on top of the beat for that kind of stuff. I had, in one of the songs from Guitar Shop, there was a little horn solo, and I always had to rush that. It just felt very anxious. But now I haven't even kept up. I haven't used it for a while, and I know they have a GK3 instead of the GK2, and I haven't updated that. So yeah, well, I'll just put a pause on it until I know more.
Any more questions? How are we doing, everybody? Right back here. Meeting us halfway, right on, bro.
When you're working for Jeff Beck and you're auditioning or just rehearsing with him for the first time, what kind of things was he expecting from you that he wasn't already doing?
You know, here's another example of how he's more like a singer than a guitar player. Is he just took it from the strength of my records and just called me up and said, "Come on, let's do a record together." Like, are you sure? You know? And there was no audition. I actually kind of arranged an audition for myself because I had a session in Italy and I was flying over that way anyway. So I booked some time to go to his house. I learned the Guitar Shop record and then played it for him in his presence just to make sure that it was cool. And next thing I know, I'm on a bus with him for the next 3 years.
Does he use charts?
No charts. No, he doesn't read music. No. Which is, I think that's the best way to go. Because when
You still got to finish reading 6.
when you read charts, you don't get the nuances a lot of times of what's in the music. So it's a lot better. I mean, it's helpful and it can make things go a little faster. But it's even with the Jackson thing. The first tour was we listened to cassettes of the Victory tour to learn the live arrangements and everything.
Any other questions?
God, you're all spread
You
out.
guys. And what do you bring to the stage when you, like, what's the difference with, what have you learned now that you've played tons of shows here in smaller rooms and then also stadiums? And what's the big difference and what's the similarity?
What have I learned? Not a damn thing. Well, the difference, I mean, playing stadiums with Michael Jackson, I always felt detached from the audience. I mean, you got 50, 60, 80,000 people out there that are just losing their minds over him. They all know the lyrics. There's always 2 or 3 lookalikes in the front row, which, I mean, can you imagine if you're playing a gig and somebody looks exactly like you in front of you? How weird is that? Playing with Michael was like a theater show, really. I mean, music was just a part of it. The dance was a huge part of it, and a lot of special effects. And he just wanted to blow people's minds. Every time we went out, he wanted to have things different, and we had to sign these agreements that we wouldn't tell anybody before we did our first show what was in it, because he really wanted to surprise people, like the rocket pack flying over the audience, or having a remote control tank that goes to the edge of the stage. You know, it kind of blew my mind because I met George Lynch in Japan, and I've been a fan of his forever. I think he's such a great player.
And at that time, he was like multi-platinum.
Yeah.
He was a big deal.
That's better. We had the hair as big as mine. And he said, God, it must be amazing to be part of something like this. And that just floored me because I thought, well, you're in a huge band, you know, but then you think about it, and there's nobody but Michael Jackson could pull off something like that. The first tour in 1987, I was talking to the manager, Frank DeLeo, and he said it costs $500,000 a week just to keep us on the road. I mean, can you imagine having that to worry about? Amazing production.
Any other final questions? Well, I would just ask you, do you have any advice for young guitarists here that are hoping to forge their own voice and find their own voice on the guitar and their own career and their own path in this crazy business?
Well, for starters, I'd say practice as much as you can stand and still like it. Because if you force yourself another 2 hours and it gets to the point where you hate it because you're forcing yourself, back off. There's inspiration to be found everywhere. If you're having a hard time with something that you're working on, go to the movies and come back with a fresh head. That's really some valuable stuff. But as far as making it, quote unquote, in the music business, all I can say is just follow your passion and just do it and get out there and play with as many people as you can. When I got the Jackson gig, I was playing in 6 different bands, showcase bands for no money, and teaching and doing the LA Scuffle. You never know when it's going to happen, but just keep going for it. And it's almost like you got this spiritual momentum happening. And whatever you focus on, you bring to you. I really believe that.
And you were ready when that door opened, and you always will be. That's great. Give it up for Jennifer Batten.
Thank you.
One more tune.
Yeah, okay. All right, y'all. Where's my ambiance director? Let me tune this out. I'm all wired in. I'll tell you about the coolest new ear monitors that I'm using here. It's by Sensophonics, and it's not just ear monitors. I mean, I used ear monitors a lot in the Jackson tour, and you can feel so isolated from the rest of the band. It's just kind of wacky. But these new ones I have a box here, and I can dial in however much ambience that I want from the outside, so you can actually feel like you're part of the planet. Okay, now I will do my final. I'll play some of my favorite Michael Jackson songs that I used to like to play with him. Thank you. Now it's time to do stage diving and light my hair on fire. If anybody's interested in the CDs, or you got some questions you're too shy to ask in front of an audience, I'll be over there in a minute at the merch table. Thank you very much.